Hello everyone, Athena Artiste here with the start of a rather short running series on the basics of Banished as well as an introduction to mod usage for those who have not gotten into that. Now let's start as I always do when I'm starting a new game is I'm going to set my camera position here first because I know that I'm going to be twisting and turning the camera view and I want to be able to get it back to this default view. So let's start talking about the map here and the criteria that I had set for myself for what I felt would be a good map to play with. First, I wanted them to spawn near a lake, which did occur. You can see where their spawn point is. I've marked it with a star here. And now they've also, the other two criteria, because I knew I would start with an easy start, which is where I would get both seeds and an animal. I wanted to make sure that I had the sheep as my animal type, which I did get. And the other thing I wanted was to make sure that there weren't any really huge mountains right around real close to where my spawn point was. So with an easy start, you will always get at least one type of crop seed and one type of orchard seed. I was fortunate in that I got two of both. That wasn't what I was looking for in, I wasn't going to obsess over that part of things, but I'm happy that I did get that. And as you can see, yes, I do have sheep here. I am going to put two people. Oh, okay, before we get into the game, let's talk about the details for the startup. I'll have the seed map number down in my description area as I always do, along with there will be a link to my journal, which is where I put in written detail on everything about my startup, the mods that I'm using, and the suggested load order, and so forth. Because load order for mods becomes quite important, especially when you see something like this, where two of the mods I'm using are red flagged as that says that they conflict with each other. But I am not that concerned about it, and I will explain why here. First of all, both of these mods are by the same person, Discrepancy. So I would assume, seeing as this is meant to be a general purpose UI improvements, which does need to go near the top, because remember, mods at the top are the ones that are loaded last. So things that you want to modify everything else need to go near the top. So I put that above this one, which is a tower. And not that I really needed the tower for anything. I mean, it's kind of a cool thing, but I wanted to get one in here so I could show you. If you click on this button, it is going to tell you in more detail why it's Banished is saying these are conflicting with each others. And it has to do with these two, I guess you could say, settings or something like that. Something to do about the production for the previous years and this year's. So, in other words, I'm not sure because, like I said, this is from the same mod author. So, I would assume maybe they're both trying to make the same change. But in any case, I believe whatever that change is, that they're both going to be fine. They will not cause the game to crash. And we'll see insofar as long term if that holds true. Now let's get into the rest of these mods. The bulk of these are from the wonderful folks, and I do have to say wonderful about all the mod authors You guys are just awesome. This is from the Black Liquid team, which of course brings us Colonial Charter. This one is a light rain effect. I like to use it primarily as a performance enhancement. I'm on my little Acer laptop here that doesn't have the greatest of graphics card or processor or anything, and I need to do everything I can to kind of help out with the performance issues. The rest of these are, well, they're just tweaks. This is a radius recolor. It changes that yellow radius circle to a blue one, which is much easier to see and just a bit wider too. And these two are the unhappiness and the happiness radiuses from Mr. K. And I don't know how to pronounce his name, so but he is part of the Black Liquid team. What this means is that any building that I'm putting in or structure that causes unhappiness will have a red radius. At the same time, anything that causes happiness will have a purple radius. There's the labor window, which you're going to see here in just a moment. There's one of my big favorites again is the renewable resources. Now keep in mind some of these down in here in this area might make enough changes in how Banished works that you would not be able to get certain achievements. I'm not I don't obsess over achievements. So that doesn't bother me, but if it does for you, then you may or may not want to use some of these mods. Now, the tiny towel hall is just so that I could get a really quick way to build, uh, so I get my inventory list and everything that the town hall gives you. This one on its own will not attract nomads, but it does come with what is called a nomad well. And if we do get far enough along with this series, I will build that because that is what would attract the nomads. Now, this one definitely would make Banish not allow you to have any achievements because this one does increase the amount of stone and iron and wood that you are getting from whenever things happen. Again, my goal in this is not to it's not that I can't play without a hard testing or anything, but I want to get this things up and running fast enough so I can accomplish as much as I can in the short time I'm running this series. Once I do get my renewable resources shack set up and functioning, I would probably disable this one anyway because otherwise I'm going to get flooded with stuff. The other ones down here I wanted to keep in mainly because I do like them so much, but they are not enabled. This one, again, is from the Black Liquid team. It's for no smoke. That, again, would help with improving performance. But apparently this one is meant to work hand in glove with the Colonial Charter mods because I did not see where it was working at all in this particular environment. So I did not enable it. Now this is another one that is actually, I think, one of the first mods I started using, which is to give you unlimited mines and quarries, where so your mines and your quarries just don't exhaust themselves, and you have to end up building more of them and everything. So, but again, that would break Banish's achievement section. This one is one of my absolute favorites, but I decided not to enable it for this particular series. It's called Cold Realism because what it does is it says that if there's anything, crops that have not been harvested or things that, are growing, your wild foods and so forth, if they are not collected before the frost hits, when the things freeze, well, then you're not going to get them. They're going to die. So, but that is because I tend to play with the very harsh environment and with that enabled. So now let's get into the game. This is that little labor window I was talking about, which shows up right over here. And it's just a little tiny window that shows me how many laborers and builders I've got. And it's so small I could keep that up there all the time. Now, let's get into what we're going to do. I'm going to put up my goal list like I normally do as to, because this being an easy start, I don't have to worry so much about shelter because I have a bunch of houses already built. I've got people living in them already with a lot of kids. And I've got a barn and, of course, a pretty full stockpile. But the first thing I want to get up and running is going to be my crop fields, because you can only plant crop fields in the spring. And spring, of course, you have 3 sections to each. Well, I guess you could say it's the seasons of the year. But we have early spring, we have spring, and we have late spring. So I have to get my crops planted always in the spring. So that is going to be the first thing I'm going to work on. Now, because I tend to play on harsh environment, that means I do not use real big fields. But that's all right. These will work out just fine in this playthrough, which is on a much milder climate, but that's okay. This is the way I'm used to sizing my things, so I just don't see any reason for me to change in my size of fields from what I'm used to doing. And we're going to put another one right next to them there, which is going to be the same size, an 8 by 12. There we go. There's my 2 crop fields. Now, an orchard field you can plant any time of the year, so I'm not that concerned about it. But of course, an orchard field, well, it takes them a few years to get the trees to mature and so forth. So that's a good thing, though. Now I'm going to put a barn. Let's see, let's put the barn over in here, because then I can put another little stockpile right over in here. Let me see. Yeah, I can go 4 wide. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I could put in my normal sized stockpile. I tend to use the 6 by 4 size. That is one of the things I want them to do first, but, well, I gotta put my pasture in yet. Hold on a second. Okay, the pasture's gonna be out in here. And again, I tend not to go for really huge ones. We're gonna go for one that's 12 wide by, well, let's say 18. Where is 18? There we go. Now, that's not as big a pasture as I could have, but it does mean that it will get full of sheep faster so that we start getting mutton. And it is big enough, just big enough so that I could split them off at a later time. Now, okay, let's set our order that I want them to do these things. The last thing I want them to do is the pasture. And then I want the crop fields, and I want this one done absolutely first. So now it is time to put the game into motion. Let's crank our speed up. And there we go, and we're going to let them get to work. Now the other thing I'm going to put in here is a fishery. Now fisheries work best when they're positioned so that you get as much water as you can around them. Now, with this being the regular Banished, I can't do all my wonderful little things I usually do. I can take advantage of this little tiny jut of land, I guess you could call it. Now, come on. There we go. And I get... Oh, come on. Right there we go. I get almost a half circle there of water going so that I can have that much for my... Oh, and we've got our first crop field done. So it's still early spring. So I should be able to get my other one. This one's going to be the wheat. There we go. Like I said, I didn't plan. I didn't obsess over what crop seeds I was getting, but I happened to get some nice ones. Cabbages and wheat. And let's just remind them that we want this one done. And let things go again. And I'm going to bring my road all the way out here. There's the other one. Okay, so yes, we got both of those planted before the end of spring. Actually, even before the end of early spring. So the next thing they should be working on is my pasture. But I do want them to get started on this, so I'm going to bring that into the queue and put things back in motion. Now, the other thing I need to get built here pretty soon is a woodcutter. And I think I will put them, because I like to put them near one of the stockpiles. The thing is, I don't think I'll keep them there forever because, well, after all, they're not having a forester to supply them with wood or anything. So, but this is enough for getting things started. And it looks like they're working just about done with that pasture clearing. But they've already put my stuff out here for my fishing dock. So I'm going to go ahead and tell them, please do build that first. Just so that we can keep, once they start building it, they can get that done. Now with this being, like I said, a half a circle, let me pause the game. I don't know if I'll keep all 4 of these people on that fishery forever, but it is a wonderful source of food for early on, and I want to get it up and running as quickly as I can. But now they are going to need to get that barn built, but I do want to get the pasture built so I can get my lambs, my sheep in there so lambs can start getting born and so forth. Now, it looks like I've had 2 kids grow up. So I'm going to need, pardon me, whenever I cough like that or something, I will mute the sound. Getting over yet another sinus infection. Now, I want to figure out where I can put in... Maybe I should put one over this way. Okay, there's my first house, extra one. Now this is going to be my sheep. So let's get that up and running. Now my plan is to have all of my fishing people living right out in here, which is going to take a bit of finagling, but hopefully that's what my goal is. And I'm going to put my road all the way around this particular barn. And I am going to make sure that they build that next. I want them to do the barn before that house, but I want that house to be built. Oh shoot, we need to get this. We're running really low on firewood, so we better get that wood chopper done too. There, okay. Put the game back in motion. We're in late spring now. So, okay. Hopefully I'm gonna have a few more kids grow up here. So I'm gonna have some people to put onto some of these jobs. Because I have so many. Yep, there we had another kid grow up. Wonderful. And there go my sheep heading for their pasture. And there's two more that's grown up, so I think I need to put in yet another house, which I'm going to put. There's a bunch of babies being born. And I'm going to put a little gap in there so that I can get a road in there. But I will need a well. Now you'll notice that the well has a purple radius. It increases happiness. And I tend to put a lot of wells into my towns. So, because I like wells. They make people happy, and they certainly cut down on the walk time when there's a fire, and believe me, we will have fires. No matter what you do, you're going to have fires. Now this is where my little town hall is at. And I think, though, I will place... Because the other thing I need to do here pretty soon is get a blacksmith built. And I like to put that around a market center. Well, good. They got that barn done. So that means my fishing people are not having to walk all the way down here to drop their fish off. They can put them right here into this barn. Because the whole plan about things is to save steps so that they're not walking so far. So what I want to do, let's start with where the market's going to be. And maybe I can get it. See, I know that I have some little hill-like things. They're just big enough to make it so that you can't... I think I'll put one... Well, I'm not going to have much room around it if I do it back there. And firewood is low, but I've got somebody working on chopping the wood. Maybe I should put it... Well, I don't. If I put it out here a bit further, then I'll have more room all the way around it for things. So let's just bring my road up this way a bit. And then I can place that market along that road out here a bit. So I've got enough room to put things all, well, most of the way, all the way around it. There. Now that's not going to get built right away, because like I said, I need to build a lot of other things. Now the first thing I think I need to get in here is a hunting cabin. Now, a lot of people, when they're first starting out with Banish, they think that, well, the hunting cabin has to go where the forest is and everything, where you put your forester. And it is true, you tend to get a lot more deer in those areas, but if you can look through here, we've had deer wandering through this whole area this whole time. They'll walk right through our crop fields and everything else. So I'm going to put my hunter right up in here, so that way whenever those herds of deer wander by, they will take care of them, and we will start getting some venison and some leather from them. Now, I'm going to turn around up here and come down in here because, well, now I need to get a bridge, some bridges going. And I know that there's a little, like, hill right in here. So I can't, see, I can't put a bridge in there because there's this little hill on this side of things. So I want to bring my road out this way, though. Come on. Oh, that's the wooden bridge. I thought I was on the road. No wonder it's not working. So there's a road. I'm just going to take it to there. Oh, we've got our first house done. And our second one. We got one fishing person out there. Well, I'm going to check into that more later. Okay, let's try to figure out where I can put my bridge in. Can it? Okay, we got one there. Now let's look over here. Try it. I think I could go down. Come on, mouse, cooperate with me. Can we go in there? Yes, we can. Good. There, now we've got two bridges going. Let's straighten our view around. Now let's come up here and look again. Oh, they're building that well for me. That's nice. Okay. Where are my... Looks like most of them are not out here. Yeah, we have one fisherman out here. Well, we have two out here. So we're going to need to work on getting that fixed. But it will come. It will come. Let's bring our road down this way. And we're going to go out this way with more road. There we go. Now, well, it looks like our woodcutter caught up to date. I've had increased the fuel number up a bit. Well, we're running out of logs, though, and I've got to get this. Well, let's go for any sort of... See, there's a herd of deer right there, which our hunter is going to be able to get for us when they get up and running here shortly, I hope. Like I said, deer, that's what you need to look for when you're putting your hunting cabin in. And I usually only put, like, two people on when it's in this sort of a situation, a hunting cabin. Because, well, there is so many other things in here, I will not get as many deer as it would be in a wooded situation. But I will get a fair number. And we're just about to the 30-minute mark. That hunting cabin is just about done. Let me pause the game here because I really want to get my blacksmith. And let's see. Because I'm going to put a well next to my blacksmith. Because, well, the blacksmith, if you've ever looked at your blacksmith when they're working, at times you'll catch them, they're saying they're putting out a fire. So I always put a well right next to my blacksmith so that they can get some water real easy. Oh dear, I can't. Well, it would go on to the road part, which I really don't want to do. So let's put it on there. So there we go. Now we're going to want to get the blacksmith done. Still keep working on this hunting cabin. And we are past the 30-minute mark, so I gotta start thinking about where I want to end this particular episode. We're still at year 1. Okay, now I'm definitely only putting, well, right now, 1 person on here. As soon as I get some more kids grown up, then I'll put another person in there. Now, how is our fishing situation working out over here? Because I need to have my fishing people living very near the fishing cabins so that they're not doing all this walking back and forth. People, come on. So, I have 2 of my fishing people living out here. But not as many as I would like. But I don't think I've got any more. Let me check to see if I have any more adults to where I need another house. Well, there's someone that just grew up, and they're going to go on that hunter. So that has got as many people as I want on it right now. So let's see. No adults there. No adults. Well, that was our... I guess that's a guy. He just grew up. He's there. So he's gonna need a house. Oh, and we have twins in there. That's nice. Now, supply of food is low, yes, because they're walking all over the place and they're not living out there by the fishery. Oi! Okay. We need to put in another house. And I want to put them out here. Let's see, I've got a road right there. So I guess I can't... Oh, there's that little hill thing. Oh. Well, I suppose I could come along in here. Put a house right there. There we go. Now I'm putting that other well over there, so I need another well on this side of the market. I'm just gonna put one right there. And I think what I will do is spin things around here. And yes, I know things are running very sluggish. That's the way this laptop is, so... Anyway, we're going to put in our little, tiny little town hall here. Over here. Next to... Well, I guess that is gonna slide right in there. Okay. There we go. So that's going there, and... Well, I'm gonna have to take one of my laborers and put them in on that blacksmith. So that is up and running. There we go. Finally. And we're not doing too badly. We've got plenty of iron ore, it looks like. Stone, of course. I think what I will do is go ahead and open this because there's a bunch of stone right there. And they might as well get that collected for everything that they're going to need to build here. They haven't gotten my bridges put in yet. And we're finally into our second spring. And I didn't look to see how much wheat and cabbages we had for last year. Let's see. We got, 672 wheat and 672 cabbage. Excellent. How are we doing with our fishery? Because the fishery should be getting us at least, I hope, 1,000. Oh, wow. Well, yes, in spite of you guys walking all over the place, you're not doing badly. So I'm happy with that. Because I wanted to be able to get at least 1,000 out of that every season. And let's do another check here, because I think this is where I'm going to be calling this episode. Nope, they're still not out here. Well, maybe after I get this other house built up in here, that I could get... Let's get that one marked as having a priority. If we could get that one up and running, I think that our herdsmen or something... Well, actually, we're going to have the blacksmith out here. And our hunters... We're going to have to put, obviously, more houses out in here. But that is going to take time. But at any rate, I do think that this is where I'm going to call this episode, with spring being well underway for our second year. So I'm going to pause things here. Oh, and they're finally they got one bridge done. Because up in here is where I intend to put my forest zone area, right in here. It's the best spot I've got that's handy for that. So we'll be getting into that in that next chapter. Thanks everyone for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.